Hey, welcome back to InsideFlix. We're going to do our weekly box office report. It was Easter weekend, and it was a 5-day weekend. Rich, you're going to be telling us just a 3-day weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the 3-day weekend.
All right, so tell us which movies made the top 5 this past weekend.
The Super Mario Bros. Movie came in number 1 with $146 million. Coming in number 2 is John Wick Chapter 4 with $14.4 million. And coming right directly behind it is Air with 14.456 or whatever, just around 2,000 less. So let's just figure it's so close. It's ridiculously close. Coming number 4 is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves with 13.8 million, and round out the top 5 is Scream 6 with 3.4 million.
So Super Mario Brothers did huge, and it also did well internationally. And I think it's probably one of the best animated.
No, it's best animated, and one of the best animated openings too. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, it's right. It's just a huge opening altogether.
It's on track to becoming, over $1 billion movie, on track to be, one of the biggest movies of all time, really.
What do you contribute the success for this movie? Is it just the branding, the IP, the fact that everyone knows this video game?
Yeah, this is one of the biggest IPs of all time, and they finally did a faithful adaptation, after 30 years. They haven't tried since that live action movie, and this time they did exactly, I guess, what fans wanted, and they were rewarded.
Yeah, what I didn't expect was that this weekend was so big, but it was so big just for Super Mario Brothers. Every other film didn't do that well. I mean, didn't do that great for Easter weekend. I mean, it's just typical.
I think Mario took everyone's audience because it's so generational. It was able to get some of that John Wick audience and definitely get a lot of that Dungeons and Dragons audience.
Yeah.
But Air, I think, did well. I think it did kind of what I was expecting it to do, and I think that's because it served as great counter programming for Super Mario.
Right.
It would have been great if Air did a little more, but still, I think for that movie, it's a solid film. Let's hope it has legs and sticks around for a couple of weeks. Mario is going to be here. It's going to stick around for a long time, and we're going to get many sequels. And this is definitely going to be a billion-plus movie.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. I have quite a few issues with it, but the movie delivers, I think, what fans wanted, and it's an entertaining film. And
okay.
Yeah. I was hoping that Air would do a little bit better. It made $20 million over the 5-day weekend, but I was hoping that it will at least deliver a number that would convince studios to invest in mid-budget, adult-related films.
Well, it depends on the legs, right? It depends how long it sticks around for.
Yeah. It did exactly what the studio projected, so that's a good thing. I just wish that it did a little bit better, so it could at least usher a new wave of kind of this adult centric films.
Hey, we're lucky Air got a theatrical release. This could have very easily been like a Tetris type of thing.
Well, there's actually a whole bunch of films coming out, with very similar ideas. You mentioned Tetris. There's going to be a Blackberry movie. There's going to be the Flaming Cheetos movie that's coming out, which is I think maybe both of those are getting a streaming debut or. So yeah, I think you're right. Air was just lucky that they got a theatrical release.
A big part of that was probably because of the cast and Ben Affleck directing and all that.
And they did a really good job of promoting it. I mean, they went everywhere to promote that movie. So I was just hoping that it got a little bit better numbers.
Like we talked about last week, the real hope was if the movie could bring in the sneaker audience and not just, movie fans, and unfortunately it failed at that.
Yeah.
It failed miserably at bringing in the sneaker audience, but
we'll see if it has longevity in the top 10, because I think it does have, like I said before, it does have the potential to stay in the top 10 for a long time. But let's go to John Wick Chapter 4. The drop was almost 50%. It came in number 2nd. What do you think of that drop? It's the 3rd week.
I think solid. I mean, it's sticking around. It's definitely going to be in the top 5 for a few more weeks, and I think it's good.
It's not terribly bad, but I mean, drop of a drop for the 3rd week.
Let me ask you guys, because originally I was really kind of hoping that this new John Wick film, especially because this is, I think in my opinion, it's the best John Wick since the original. I was really kind of hoping that this would have been, the first in the franchise to reach 500 million worldwide, and that's definitely not going to happen. And it is kind of while I do think the movie's doing pretty good for the time we're at right now, after the pandemic and all that. It doesn't look like it's going to reach part 3, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's good? Do you guys think John Wick 4 is going to reach the 328 million worldwide that Chapter 3 made?
Well, I'm not sure how many markets it opened up internationally yet. It might have a few, more countries to open up, but yeah, it could be close because it still has a positive word of mouth in that film, and it's still got a little more time to figure out to see if it is going to reach that number.
Unfortunately, John Wick is just going to be pushed out of theaters just by the sheer number of movies coming in. So I think that's the problem. So it doesn't really have enough room to stay in theaters.
I think one of the problems is the lack of the kind of the premium kind of XD theaters and kind of IMAX screens, because I don't think people. This is also from my experience. I don't really like going to the kind of the standard screens anymore when I go to the movie theater. Like once movies get pushed there, I'm kind of like I'll just kind of watch it at home or wait for streaming. And like I don't know. I think maybe theaters need to start upgrading and adding more premium screens.
I think to your point, I think that's why Super Mario Brothers was so dominated this weekend, because it took all those screens. I mean, it had like at least 1,000 more screens than any other movie in the theaters right now. So it really just pushed all those movies back, and so it's all about real estate now. It's all about
and it filled those seats though.
Sure, but I'm saying that's why John Wick had that drop. That's why Dungeons and Dragons had that drop.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is dropped. Way too much, over 62%, and I really expected it to have more longevity for this film, but it's a family film. It's just getting overpassed.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of following the same fate as Shazam. Both movies are very similar in tone, I guess you could say, because of both movies were gearing towards teenagers, and I think teenagers don't want kind of that fluffy stuff. They want to see something more darker. That's why young teens are so into horror nowadays. They just want to see more darker stuff, and I think this type of lightweight fantasy adventure films are not doing well this season.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm just saying that I was way off on that film.
All right, let's get into the rest of the top 10, Rich.
Coming number 6 is His Only Son. And number 7 is Creed 3. Number 8 is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Number 9 is 1001. And round out the top 10 is Paint.
I didn't even know Paint came out.
Yeah, not a lot of people do.
Okay, now let's look ahead. Let's look at next week's movies. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in theaters.
Open up wide this week is Renfield, a new horror comedy that features Nicholas Hoult, and the title role is Dracula's long-suffering servant. Nicolas Cage hams it up as an overly demanding Dracula who is shocked to learn that Renfield has gone rogue and is actively trying to get out of their relationship. Also opening is The Pope's Exorcist, the new based on true events exorcism thriller starring Russell Crowe as a Catholic priest who investigates a young boy who claims to be possessed by a demonic spirit. Also opening is Mafia Mama. This is the new goofy mob comedy that stars Toni Collette as an American suburbanite who inherits her grandfather's mafia empire. Monica Bellucci co-stars.
So let's talk about Renfield. It's funny because it feels like it's not a rated R movie, but it is a rated R movie. This is kind of like a extreme take on the Universal monster movie. What's your feelings about how well this is going to do in theaters?
Oh man, that's tough to say. I personally think the movie looks like a ton of fun, but I don't know. I think it has a good chance of coming in at number 2.
Yeah.
If it does well, it's going to definitely come in, at 20 million. But I don't think it's going to do that. I think it's going to come below. I think it will be number 2 though. At least that.
Well, surprisingly, it's going up against another horror film, The Pope's Exorcist. And I think out of those two movies, I think Renfield...
Yeah, I think Pope's Exorcist is going to bomb, unfortunately. I mean, I don't even know why Russell Crowe did that movie.
Well, yeah, I don't know either.
He's been doing a lot of questionable movies, right?
So I think out of those two, I think Renfield is going to be the bigger one. Mafia Mama is just kind of like a throwaway comedy that's just going to be out there. But I think, Renfield...
Well, hey, if Mafia Mama had more screens, it might do better than Pope's Exorcist.
I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be number one because I think Mario Brothers is just going to dominate again for the second week.
Even with a 60% drop, it's still it's still it's still going to be a huge monster to conquer. And but yeah, I think at best, Renfield will probably open up with 30 million. So.
And I think the early critic buzz around this movie is they're saying it's fun. It's also very, very bloody, surprisingly very bloody. So I think that's going to work in its favor. Like we were saying, I don't think it's going to do any more than just second spot in the box office.
Sure.
Now let's get into limited release. Rich, what movies are coming out in limited?
Opening up in limited releases, Beau is Afraid. This is from Midsummer writer-director Aster. It's a darkly comical head-scratcher that stars Joaquin Phoenix as a mentally unstable man who believes he's on his way to see his mother, but quickly finds things aren't as they seem. Also opening up a limited release is Sweetwater, a new historical sports drama that tells the true story of the first African-American basketball player to sign an NBA contract. Also opening up a limited release is a new Crunchyroll film, Suzumi. A new film by Makoto Shinkai is the director of Your Name and Weathering with You.
So what's your feelings about Beau is Afraid? Ari Aster has kind of developed a cult following. This is also a 3-hour movie, and so I don't know if that's going to help its chances in the box office. But
man, I did not know that this is a 3-hour film. I'm like, has Ari Aster earned that, at this point? But I guess he has, since with the Midsommar director's cut, if you count that, because I think that was
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, but so I guess this is his second 3-hour film. I don't know, man. The 3 hours actually kind of turns me off. I was planning to see this movie in theaters, but knowing that it's 3 hours, I might just wait.
Yeah, I know.
Because I don't think the movie's going to do that well. So I think it's going to be streaming, in at least available, for digital purchase. I think, in like less than a month. It's not going to have the Joker appeal to bring in that audience. Yeah.
Well, the reviews of the movie right now, it's slowly coming out and it's getting mixed. It's not an overwhelmingly successful critic wise. So
and it's getting such interesting reviews because I've been reading some people say like it feels like a movie that like wants you to hate it or something like that, and I'm like,
which describes his pretty much Ari Aster's film career. I mean, a lot of his movies he's trying to say to the audience, "Come at me, bro."
Yeah, so I mean, I really want to watch the movie, but the 3 hours makes me want to wait. But we'll see.
Rich, let's talk about streaming now. And so tell us what movies that people could stream at home this weekend.
Well, streaming this weekend on Netflix is The Last Kingdom, Seven Kings Must Die. This is the feature-length sequel to the cult historical Saxon Viking series taking place after the event of the show's finale and following the death of King Edward. Alexander Draymond returns to star as Uhtred of Bettenberg.
It's Uhtred.
Uhtred of Bettenberg. Also streaming is Personality Crisis One Night Only. This is on Showtime, the new music documentary from Martin Scorsese, which explores the rock star career of New York Dolls founder David Johansen, sometimes known as Buster Poindexter. And finally streaming on Peacock is Cocaine Bear, the streaming debut of director Elizabeth Banks' hit horror comedy.
Rich, you're a big fan of The Last Kingdom. Are you dying to watch the feature-length kind of sequel to the series?
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that it is just a movie. I would rather have another
spin-off series,
of course. Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing.
All right,
cool.
So there you go. That's it for this episode of InsideFlix. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll see how well Renfield does in the box office. We'll also talk about the movies coming out next week. And so there you go. All right. Bye-bye.